disrupted.
America that I fought.
Weird thing to happen. Hello, one and all. Welcome to this edition of Kitz Corner. Been a fantastic day so far. So this is an interesting piece that came out, and I don't know if this is in part with all the protesting that's going on college campuses and how people are being arrested and expelled from college campuses, or if this is like a long time standing and finally people are coming out of the shadows to admit to this. But for a long while, there has been a kind of different, complicated relationship with the idea of college. People assume we grew up in this kind of situation where we always thought that, in order for us to succeed, we had to go and pay our tuition, go to these college campuses, work hard into this educational facility, and that was able to succeed. But then you see most people that are going to these uh, campuses, they pay their dues, they do their work, and then next thing you know, they come out and they become even worse off before they went to school. So it's a bit topsy turvy here, and I'm a college student myself, so I know the experiences. I have I've been on the fence on the success of college and whether it's beneficial for people, and in a lot of ways, I felt in a way it's been beneficial for me, but I can also see why it's not beneficial to people. So it's very complicated, and it all drives from that. But here's a little interesting factoid here is that many in the Gen Z demographic or Gen Z demographic are ditching colleges for trade schools. Meet the tool belt generation. So there is now a growing trend of young individuals that are ditching the traditional education facility and going towards apprenticeship, going towards trades, going towards vocational schools to get away from the traditional university style teachings where you're just sitting in a dusty lecture hall and you're being screened at all these factoids and dates you got to remember and test it and do all this stuff. They're finding out different ways to educate themselves, and a lot of these people, it comes beneficial to them. It may not be for everybody, but it does come beneficial for a lot of different people. So it's a statistic that people should take notice of. And I guess this is coming out of the shadows on the fact that there's now the college campus protests for Palestine, and people are just ditching the idea of these Ivy League schools, which you go to Columbia University or Yale or Harvard or any of this stuff, you're basically being indoctrinated into being a schmuck for the establishment. Like that's, the people that come out of it, the people that go in there, they think, this is the great school, this is the great education, it's going to get you far in life. And then you realize what kind of tool you become and what kind of mindset you get afterwards from being indoctrinated in a school like this. Like I said, I have a mixed kind of complicated relationship with being a college student myself and going through, the traditional educational system. I even saw, documentaries on where education comes from. I personally, I stand principled when it comes to people getting proper education. I strongly believe that's why I'm an advocate for, public schools and funding towards that. But I understand that if you look at where public schools originate from, where the formation of the typical school day comes from, well, that came from a billionaire by the name of John Rockefeller, and how they doctrinated that it was basically to organize people to get them ready for a complacent 9 to 5 business work shift. So this is interesting. It says, Cy Kirby dreaded the thought of going to college after graduating from high school. He says a 4-year degree just wasn't in the cards for him or his bank account. I was facing a lot of pressure for this guy that knew for a fact that he wasn't going to college, Kirby says. I knew I wasn't going to sit in a classroom, especially since I knew I wasn't going to pay for it. Instead, at the age of 19, Kirby took a job at a local water department in southern Arkansas. He said the position helped him to develop the skills that helped him start his own construction company. Now, at age 32, Kirby finds himself mentoring many of his employees, all who also opted to learn a skilled trade rather than shelling out tens of thousands of dollars to pursue a degree that they wouldn't use after graduating. Kirby says blue collar work is lucrative and also allows him to call the shots in his life, but he says the job also comes with a downside, mainly because of the stigma attached to the industry. I think there's a big problem with moms and dads coming from the quote unquote dirty jobs, coming with dirty clothes and sweating. You had a hard day's work and sometimes looked down upon that, he says. Kirby is among the growing number of young people who have chosen to swap college for vocational schools that offer paid on the job training. Lisa Countryman Quoza is the CEO of JVS, a Jewish vocational service, a nonprofit in San Francisco that provides career training for unemployed workers to find jobs, including the skilled trades. She says that over the years, there has been a shift with the skilled trade making a comeback, especially among members of Generation Z. Folks have really prioritized a college education as a path to the middle class and a path to a cushy office job. But Countryman Quoza says over the past 10 to 15 years, we are seeing a trend among young people opting out for universities. Just the crushing debt of college is becoming a barrier in and out of itself. And if you also think, too, if you think about getting the average degree, say if you get a degree in business, and your goal is to work in office administration. Well, considering the fact now that AI has taken a huge leap in the past few years, that is now advancing technology that is going to be replacing a lot of these white collar jobs, a lot of these, cushy office jobs. That also plays a factor in why so many people are opting out of it because they know that their jobs are going to be replaced. Not saying that blue collar jobs would be replaced. That's why, again, AI is something that I think all of us as a nation need to sit down and really think out how we're going to advance ourselves in the future, knowing that technology is going to replace us. Technology is going to replace the job market, and we need to figure out how exactly we as human beings are going to survive in a world where all our jobs are going to be automated, all our jobs are going to be robotic. How exactly are we going to have an income when a robot, a machine is going to do the work? Um, More than half of Gen Zers say it's possible to get a well-paying job with only a high school diploma, provided one acquires other skills. That's according to a survey by New America, a Washington think tank that focuses on a range of public policy issues, including technology, education, and the economy. In addition, the Education Data Initiative says the average cost of college in the United States has more than doubled in the 21st century. With that price tag increasing, many Gen Zers say they have been left with no choice but to leave the college path. Many say living with their parents until they pay off their college debt isn't an option. Nitzma Pullman is a founder of Climb Higher, a company that helps low income and overlooked people break into new careers. She says many young people say graduating from college with a six-figure debt is a non starter. It's not a secret that the cost of college has gone up so dramatically in the last decade, and it's really cost prohibitive at this point. Perlman says pursuing skilled trades can also help level the playing field, especially for young people from less privileged backgrounds and for people of color. We don't see a lot of black men in construction, but more Latino men in construction. We don't see many women in construction. Social capital is really a big gatekeeper and a door opener for accessing high quality jobs and helping people break into certain industries, she says. In 2021, President Biden signed a $1.2 trillion bipartisan infrastructure bill. Since then, there has been traveling the country promoting that law, which he says will open up thousands of new jobs in trades. So, which by the way, that Build Back Better deal, which is what that bill was, wasn't exactly the kind of hooray for building up infrastructure. It was going towards the private equity firms that were hopefully going to buy construction companies to build up bridges and roadways and so. But it turns out that bill was a screw you to construction facilities, which is a screw you to the job market. And really, we just didn't build anything. It was to build up Wall Street. It was to build up the stock market so that these private equity firms that are buying up these buildings, buying up infrastructure, can take over their stock debt and raise up their assets. It was all personally for them. The high cost of college isn't the only factor driving many people towards skilled trades. With the use of artificial intelligence on the rise, many Gen Zers see manual labor as less vulnerable to the emerging technology than white collar alternatives. They also say vocational schools are a straight path to well paying jobs. Pellman says increasing salaries and new technologies in fields such as welding, plumbing, and machine tooling are giving trade professionals a facelift, making them more appealing to the younger crowd. There are a lot of vocational jobs out there that are pretty attractive: HVAC repair and installation, electricians, solar panel installer. There's so much demand for wind turbine installers who, in many cases, make more than $100,000 a year. So that's a lot of demand for manual labor, she stresses. That was the case for 25-year-old Diego Aguilar, who says a traditional desk job was out of the question for him. Aguilar now works full time at a trade center at East Bay Municipal Utility District in Oakland, California, after going through the JVS training program. When I went into a trade program, I learned how much money I can make performing a very specific kind of work. You need mathematics, you need machinists, mechanics, you need machinists, you need carpenters, operators, you need painters. You can accept to get your hands dirty, and that's okay. Data from the National Student Clearinghouse Research Center shows the number of students enrolled in vocational focused community colleges increased 16% from 2022 to 2023. As for Kirby, he says his mission is to keep raising awareness about what he calls the tool belt generation, where we can walk out of the school of hard knocks, pick an industry, work your 10 years, take your punches, take your licks, and hopefully bring jobs and careers back to the community. When asked if he regrets the decision to go into skilled trades, Kirby chuckles. Not for a second, he says. So that's an interesting take on that. And, these are a lot of this is so vital to the fundamental society, because in order for society to function, in order for even the white collar jobs to be prosperous, for people to have that office cushy job, you need to have people in skilled trades. You need to have electricians. You need to have people in plumbing. You need to have those people working so-called dirty jobs. Um, it reminds me of Mike Rowe, who did that show Dirty Jobs on Discovery Channel for so many years. I remember he was doing awareness on the mainstream networks, advocating for young people, saying, "Listen, do not fall into the trap, the scam that in order for you to succeed, you have to get this degree. That is a lie. That's complete crap. And you can succeed with just high school diploma. You can succeed even without a high school diploma. There's people that have done that. It just takes skills. It just takes the attitude. It just takes people to figure out what skills can actually apply to certain areas and use that specifically to sell that towards the people. And that's what a lot of this is directed towards. That younger people are, tired of sitting in a dusty hall being lectured about who did this, who did what, remembering dates, memorization, taking all these tests. They want to go out, they want to do things, they want to do things with their hands, and they want to be paid for also learning those skills. And it seems to be a lot better and beneficial for those people. And again, I went to community college. I went for film production, TV production, with a bit of radio, and I have mixed reactions to it because I know that Some college courses that I took were very beneficial, and one of the reasons why I started this channel in the first place was learning from those skills that I got from community college. But I know that there's also courses that are completely useless. I know there was classes that I was sitting there wondering why the hell I was paying for this. Why the hell was I paying such a high tuition for college courses that I know I'm not going to use? I know it's not going to be directed to me, and I know that's not going to be professional for anywhere in the workplace. So why was I doing that? And also, if you look at the examine the whole institution of education, of kind of the facilities and the kind of the installment of the educational system placed upon people, you kind of have to step back and rethink um that kind of thing. Like I said, I still do believe in the principle of providing education for people, but I understand where people are coming from when they say that it feels more like an indoctrination rather than an education, because knowledge is ongoing. You always learn, even when you're past school, when you're in your elder years, you're always constantly learning. So it doesn't matter if you're in a classroom setting at a young age, or you're out in the workforce, or you're out here, or you're out there. It doesn't matter. You're always constantly learning. It's just how you're learning. And being told in a dusty classroom, facilitated by government forces and also people that are lobbying a lot of these educational institutions, like APEC, for example, is lobbying for, these Ivy League schools. And that's why these campuses are now having protests and people are exiting the Ivy League schools because they know they're being bought to indoctrinate these people. They're not getting a proper education. They're just being told what the lobbyists are telling them to do. So it is kind of fascinating. It is fascinating. And I'm glad this has finally come out of the shadows, that finally this is becoming a spotlight for people. And I'm just saying that this is an option for people. Like, don't feel bad that you're not college material. Don't smack yourself in the face and think that, oh, if I don't go to college, I'm never gonna have a reliable career. I'm never gonna make it in this world. Like, don't ever think like that. There is options. There's always options. It's just guiding people to better alternatives. It's guiding people uh to find what skills they can get so that they can be prosperous in the workplace, whether it being skilled trades, whether it being other occupations that are necessary for society to flourish. That's what I'm saying. And considering that student debt is still a crisis for many individuals, considering the fact that a lot of these people, got their advanced degrees and then they go apply for a job, and those advanced degrees are meaningless at this point because they want more. It's it's understandable. It's understandable. And I congratulate these people that are turning their back away from dusty college institutions, these Ivy League schools, and saying, I'm done with you. I'm done with you. I'm going to a trade school. I'm going to learn the skills on the job and I'm going to get paid for it. And a lot of these people will be successful if and it'll work out for them. So let's find more prosperous ventures for these young people instead of beating them down constantly.